Hey guys, I'm back today with another video, and today's video topic is going to be a bit harder for me to talk about because it is a bit harder of a subject for me and for a lot of people to talk about, but I thought that this is an important topic. It was definitely a rough time for me, and I know that it tends to be a rough time for a lot of people, so I wanted to be able to share my experience, that way it might be able to help someone. So today's topic is what to do when you find out that your parent has terminal cancer. And the term terminal means that the doctors have said we've done all we can do and they only have X amount of time left to live. This is very hard for everyone. It's hard for the doctors and they want the best for your parent or friend or whoever it is that has cancer, and so they want to make sure that they're okay, but sometimes they're just not able to. And then it's hard, of course, on the family because they're like, we're going to lose this person that we care about. And it's hard on that person as well because they realize that there's not a very good chance that I'll be alive that much longer. And of course there are tons of stories where doctors say, okay, you have 5 months to live, and then they live 20 years. And it's definitely a possibility, but today I'm going to walk through my experience that whenever my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer. That way you all can look at it and maybe do what you will with it. So whenever my dad was diagnosed with terminal cancer, they immediately brought the hospice bed in. They asked us if we wanted to move him to a hospital or keep him at home, and we wanted to keep him at home. So we brought a hospice bed to our house, and we set it up. It was a very slow process over the course of 2.5 months, I believe. So I don't know, that might be quick for some situations, but in my case, it felt like a long time anyway. My thing was that I never wanted to admit it. I never wanted to admit that, hey, my dad is probably going to lose his fight with cancer. The whole time I was like, he's going to pull through, he's going to make it, he's going to be one of these stories that we can talk about down the road and be like, hey, he was only supposed to live another couple months, but now he's been alive this long. That's what I kept thinking, and so I didn't want to say anything that I thought would be negative or anything that might actually speak the truth of the situation. So I had a hard time talking to my dad about it and stuff like that. We did have a discussion about 3 or 4 weeks before he passed away. He was going downhill a lot more by then. He'd lost a lot of weight, and at that point it was a little bit more evident. I still never actually admitted it in the conversation, but I eventually got to the point where I told him, I was like, if you get to that point to where you're ready to pass on, I said, don't worry about us, we'll be okay. And me and him had a nice conversation about that. But even after that, I used the word if. I didn't want to admit that this is going to happen. He knew that this was going to happen. My mom, even though she didn't want to admit it, she knew it was going to happen also. Everyone that came and saw him, it was pretty evident by his deteriorating condition that it was going to happen. I didn't want to admit it. I know that's hard because these people are your idols. I mean, they're your role models, your heroes. And to see them go downhill like this, it's hard to watch. So I talked to friends a lot during this. Big thing is just being there with your family and being there for that person during that time. Don't take any second for granted. Just be there with them and enjoy every second that you have, and live each second like it might be the last that you have with them, because you never know when that last second might be. And as time went on and it got closer and closer, it wasn't until like the last week that I really started to accept, okay, this is probably going to happen. And so then comes the part of trying to prepare yourself for that moment when they do pass away. And that's just as hard, because you're like, well, what will life be without them? I had a little brother, and I was like, how can I help him through this? And things like that, like who's going to be the male role model for him? And then I decided at some point that needed to be me. And so then all these other issues and topics start coming up. And so yeah, I probably should have started trying to prepare myself earlier, but of course I didn't want to admit defeat. And that can be a big thing. That's a very hard thing to do, because we all want to stay optimistic. And sometimes it pays off, but sometimes they're just meant to go. So, and how he looked at it, it was a win-win either way. My family were religious, and so he said either I get to stay here with you all and live my life with you all and be happy, or I get to go on to heaven and meet my Maker. And he said, then I'll see you all again someday. So he said it's a win-win for me. It was a big relief right afterwards, because we knew how much he was suffering. And then to know that he wasn't suffering anymore, it didn't make it any easier. It made it a bit easier for the first day or day and a half, and then it started to set in. I will make another video, because I want to keep these videos pretty short, but I did that way. Maybe you all can learn from my experience. So that was my experience in brief of what happened while my dad had terminal cancer, and kind of my thoughts and feelings during it. My only advice for this would be to not see it as admitting defeat whenever you have the realization that they might not make it through this. Just see it as what it is. Just to see it as, hey, there is a good chance that they might pass away according to the doctors. And you know, it could always be that chance that, hey, it goes great and they make it through it just fine. But generally, whenever doctors give that, that's because they've done all they can do, and to the best of their knowledge, that's what's going to happen. And so we do have to respect their opinion and realize that that is a possibility. So it shouldn't be, I mean, of course it's upsetting, but we shouldn't let it discourage us and say that, oh, we're admitting defeat if we say that they're going to pass away. But instead, we should spend every moment that we have with them, and we should cherish every moment. Every chance that we get, we should be with them and talking to them and just having a good time with them. What I would suggest, just because, hey, and if they make it through it, then you made great memories and you were still with them and you have more time with them. But if not, then you'll know that, hey, I took advantage of every second that I had with them and I cherished it. And that's a great way to have memories. I can't think of any better way to have good lasting memories than those last few memories that I had with my dad. And so that's all that I have for today. I know that this video was a bit harder for me to make, but I hope that it might be able to help someone out there. Just don't be afraid to realize what's going on, but more importantly, cherish every second that you have, because that's what matters. So thank you all for watching this video. If you have any questions or anything, or would like to suggest a topic for a future video, then please leave that in the comments below and I'll look at those. But I guess until next time, it's Mini-Me 27.